Hi, my name is Lindsay Bender, and I'm doing my week 3 presentation on recruiting and staff selection. So, for my intro, recruiting and staff selection is a huge part of the leadership and management part at LGH or any hospital organization. Hiring staff that has a positive outlook and team mentality can make or break a nursing unit. The hidden costs may be even more expensive and include poor quality of work, disruption of morale, and patients' ill will and dissatisfaction, which may contribute to later liability. This presentation will cover the importance of the hiring process. So, what is the purpose? Recruitment and selection is obviously made to match people to jobs. So, who is in charge of this? Human resources is in charge of the initial hiring process. So, if you were hired at LGH, you were probably initially called for a phone interview by someone from HR and answered a few questions to make sure that you were appropriate to work at LGH. This then gets filed to the nurse managers. They're aware of the job requirements and the applicants, and they do their best to describe the job to the applicants, and then are later sitting in on the interview process. So, position description. The position description describes the skills, abilities, and knowledge required to perform the job. Description should include principal duties and responsibilities, required tasks, and qualifications. So here I provided an example of a nursing position available currently at Lancaster General Hospital. So as you can see, this position notifies you of the hours and the point status. So this one is for 0.9, 72 hours every 2 weeks, and is every third weekend and every other holiday. It also gives you a summary for the intermediate ICU and then the primary functions that should be required of the RNs who are hired to work in the IICU. Requirements include obviously your RN license. A BSN is preferred, but should be accomplished within 3 years of the hire date, CPR, and then new grads completing the nurse residency program at LGH. So that's a few examples of what are required, along with some down here. Any professional licenses or certifications in the child abuse and FBI fingerprinting. So where do we typically look for job postings? So the internet and social media have become a large influence on where job postings are created. Other examples could be word of mouth, newspaper ads on TV, anything like that. But utilizing the internet for job postings is a great resource for recruitment. Hiring positions can be posted on the hospital's main website or on secondary websites such as Indeed, LinkedIn, or Monster. Recruitment today is more strategic, personalized, and targeted than ever. 83% of organizations are now using social media as a part of their recruitment process. Collaborative arrangements with local schools of nursing offer opportunities for recruitment, providing preceptors or mentors for students during their clinical rotation or offering externships or residencies encourage post-graduation students to consider employment in their organization. And this includes employing students as aides. So as we had kind of stated earlier, social media and employment, this can be a good and a bad thing. Social media, obviously, as we had said before, can be used to search for different job postings, but it can also be an issue for those looking for jobs as well. So employers can use social media for employment decisions and may risk crossing lines of discrimination, infringement on personal privacy, and or interference with employees' concerted activities protected by the U.S. law. However, employers not using social media may face negligent hiring and damages for improper employee messages. So many of us know that most employers nowadays do go through their social media pages just to make sure that the people that they're hiring are someone that could be, quote unquote, the face of the organization. And although social media can be great and it can be utilized as a great tool to find jobs, it can also be used against potential employees in either negligence, not hiring people because of certain things that they have posted. So you just have to be careful. So selecting candidates. Once an application is placed, Human Resources will then review the qualifications for the position and they may complete a preliminary phone interview, as I previously stated. References and background checks are also sent to nursing managers if they believe that the candidate is qualified for the position. Organizations may also do social media background checks, as we had also stated. If an applicant is rejected, they may also be referred to another position in the company as well, not necessarily discarded. So the interviewing process, most of us have already been through this, obviously, if you are working at a hospital, but interviewing is clearly used to clarify information and gain insight as to whether the applicant is qualified for the position. This is used as a time to gather data for both the interviewer and the applicant. So how long does a typical interview take? Interviews can last anywhere between 60 to 90 minutes. Personally, I know for my position currently, it was more like half an hour. So it just depends on the unit that you work on. Nurse managers and a few other employees from the unit, such as RNs or aides, may also be present to conduct a group interview. Some tips for interviewees is to monitor body language. 75% of what you give off in an interview is based upon your body language, not necessarily what you are saying. So just keep in mind to make sure that you are not crossing your arms across your chest, watching facial expressions, things like that. Candidates should be more prepared than the interviewer, and they should also be able to ask pertinent questions that demonstrate that they've seriously looked into the position as well. Know the organization that you are applying for, and then also practicing interview questions ahead of time is very important. So the last two slides, I left two YouTube clips. This first one is an overview of the recruitment process. And then the second one is an interview preparation tips. Oh, Lordy. And summary and some additional info. Selecting applicants is a huge decision that affects not only the manager, but also the nursing team. Recruitment requires different methods of attracting applicants, such as employer websites, social media ads, and word of mouth. Interviewees should come prepared and ready to answer questions appropriately and honestly. Body language and professional dress should be required. And lastly, successful interviewing requires planning and follow-up with additional employees if they feel the right fit or that they are the right fit for the unit. And lastly is here my list of references. Thanks again, guys, for looking at my presentation. Hope to hear back from you guys soon.